In this episode, we're going to discuss why some athletes feel like if they don't get mad, it means they don't care. Now, before I get into the episode and get into the topic for it, I want to just briefly mention that I've just published a book. It's a collection of short stories, and I have it for sale on Amazon. And each of the short stories covers a story of a different athlete, either a high school or a collegiate athlete, who is struggling with a certain mental game challenge. And so what I've done within each story is kind of shown the path that they take to work through the challenge, whether that's working through it on their own or seeking support from other people such as coaches, parents, or mental performance coaches such as myself. Now, each of the stories is purely fictional, right? But it's based on mainly experiences that I've personally had in my life throughout my playing career as a baseball player, and then also ideas that I've learned through my work as a mental performance coach. And so the book is titled Mind Games. And as I said, I have it for sale on Amazon, but I will put a link to it in the description below. Now, let's get into the episode where, again, we're going to talk about this idea of caring versus not caring and why a lot of athletes feel like if they don't get mad, it means they don't care. Now, I was on a coaching call the other day with an athlete, and we were talking about this idea because we were discussing how he gets really upset after he loses a point or two during a match. He's a tennis player. And he told me that about 2 years ago, he did a much better job of moving on from mistakes. If he hit a bad shot or if he lost a point, he would laugh it off and he would move on. But then he told me that he heard these two coaches talking. I can't remember if it was after one of his practices or if it was after a match. I think it was after a practice. But he heard these coaches talking, and they said that if he's laughing like that, I don't really think he cares. And the athlete internalized that. And so then what he ended up doing is he started getting mad and showing that he was getting upset after he made the mistakes. The reason he was showing that he was getting upset is because he wanted to show to his coaches that he cared, that it wasn't okay with him that he made mistakes. Now, it's really important for you to care as an athlete about how you do. That's why you train. It's why you and your parents travel to practices, games. It's why you work so hard. You don't want to make mistakes, and so you want to care about how well you do. But unfortunately, because this athlete thought that he needed to show that he cared, he ended up visibly getting upset. And because he was trying to show that he was getting upset, he was actually getting upset over the missed shots and the mistakes. Then what ended up happening was that he had a more difficult time moving on from these mistakes. He held on to them, he internalized them, and then his confidence dropped, and he played with more tension moving forward. So yes, he was showing to other people that he quote-unquote cared about not making mistakes, but unfortunately, because he was getting upset in order to do so, he caused himself to make more mistakes. And this is something that I come across a lot within my work because so many athletes, including myself, feel like we have to show that we are bothered to make other people know that we're not okay with making mistakes. But the truth is, you don't want to, your goal is not to show other people that you're upset over mistakes. The goal is to move on from the mistake, learn from it, and make the next play, right? Continue to play well moving forward. But so many times when we get upset and try to show that we are bothered by mistakes, we end up holding on to that frustration, that anger, and that actually hurts our performances moving forward. So what I was talking to this athlete about, and what I want you to take from this episode, is that we have to care about the right things. Don't worry about showing other people that you quote-unquote care by getting upset. Care about how you play. Now you might think, okay, well that means I need to be bothered. Why should I be okay with making a mistake? Well, the reason you want to be okay with making a mistake is because the mistake's already happened. It's in the past. It doesn't matter if you are okay with it or not okay with it. It happened. It's over. It's done with. All you can control now is how you play moving forward. So what I always encourage the athletes I work with to focus on, and what I want you to focus on, is caring about how you play well moving forward. And you have to be very honest with yourself. When you get upset, does that help you play well moving forward? If it does, great. I've worked with players who get angry at themselves, get angry at the situation, and they play very well moving forward. But that's a very rare case. Most athletes get upset, and then that causes doubt. It causes tension, and it causes fear because they don't want to make more mistakes. Getting upset hurts their performance. If you really care about how well you play, there's no room to get upset over mistakes. You don't have time to hold on to mistakes, wish they didn't happen, get upset with yourself and tell yourself, oh, I know better than that. You have to move on as quickly as possible. So what I tasked that athlete that I was working with earlier this week with was for him to practice laughing off mistakes again. Who cares if coaches think that he's not taking it as seriously if he's laughing off mistakes? They're going to be impressed by how well he plays after those mistakes. That's what matters. What matters is being able to let go of mistakes. Of course you care about making mistakes. You're doing everything you can to not make mistakes. But everything you can to not make mistakes involves moving on from the mistake you just made to reduce the chances of you making another mistake. So I challenge you to think really hard about, what do you actually care about? Do you care about showing other people that you're bothered? Or do you care about moving on and playing well in the future? Now, if you are interested in one-on-one coaching, I was mentioning that I was working with this athlete earlier this week. I do offer a 12-week one-on-one mental performance coaching program where I will work directly with you. So if you are interested in that, I've put a link to it in the description below. And like I mentioned, I do have mind games available now. If you'd like to go ahead and grab yourself a copy, I've put a link to that in the description below as well. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training. Thank you for watching, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.